Hey, Astra here, principal of the Astra Sings School of Empowerment, and I'm so happy to be sharing with you weekly messages of empowerment so that you can be happy, healthy, and wealthy. And this week's message is about healing trauma. So it was really interesting. Earlier today, I had gone on my podcast and was using their recording software to record weekly empowerment message. And and I recorded something that had come to me earlier today, and and then I was looking for a graphic to go with it because in my podcasting um, software, the site I use, you can put like a little blurb and a graphic and the title of your podcast recording. Um, so I was doing an online search for a good graphic, or image to go with it. By the time I got the graphic, I went back to upload it to the podcast so that I could, save the podcast and publish it. And something had gone wrong, and my recording was totally lost. And I thought, oh no. And then I was like, you know what though? I think I know why it happened. I think I already know why. And it's not that I'm not going to record my message tonight. It's that was like my trial run. That was the first go round, and a newer, more expansive message yet was going to come through. Um, and then that's what happened. So, so that in itself was very empowering. That instead of allowing myself to, you know, freak out or get really stressed out, or get too frustrated and disappointed that my first recording didn't save, I remember what it was about, and I can always use it for something, and I probably will, for a teaching in the future. But I just knew that there was going to be another message coming through, and that is this one, and it's about trauma. And this just makes so much sense because um, starting towards the end of last year and coming through very strongly, still is um, the work that I'm supposed to do here in this lifetime um, around post-traumatic stress disorder, or whatever they call it now, post-traumatic stress disorder syndrome, or basically PTSD. Um, and and what I'm realizing is that while yes, of course, PTSD affects people who have fought in wars, been hurt in wars, seen things in wars that were extremely traumatic, and while PTSD affects police officers, firefighters, obviously anyone in a profession where trauma happens on a regular basis, and of course PTSD exists in people who have been abused, whether physically or emotionally or mentally. Um, PTSD affects people who have been in cults and programmed to feel like they don't matter, to feel like they're small, and that this leader of the cult, or who whatever force is the only truth, and all of that jazz, and a lot of the abuse and belittling that goes on in those situations as well. Yes, of course, all of those people experience PTSD on some level, and hopefully get help for it, and get healing, and all of that. But what I've come in my inner search around the subject of PTSD, what I've come to realize is that we all experience symptoms of PTSD on some level. Maybe not waking up in the middle of the night thinking we're on the battlefield, and however those things play out, which is not good or helpful. But did you ever experienced a shock or trauma during which you have a reaction to it, and then realize, or maybe you didn't realize, but now looking back, you realize that the reason that that particular situation was so traumatic for you is that it was bringing back feelings of past trauma, because the situation was triggering something in you that reminded you of the way you felt in that past trauma. And of course, I'm a shaman and I deal on a soul level, and I can see my several of my own lifetimes, and well, really all of them, and I can see other people's past lives. And what's true about, all of us humans is that when we experience or feel pain or trauma from a situation in this lifetime, it could even be triggered by a soul memory from a past life. So the situation in this life is mirroring, if you will, things that you had not even in this lifetime, but maybe last lifetime or several lifetimes ago, or maybe it's a recurring theme. Maybe it's a situation, or you find yourself in similar situations in all of your lives. And the reason for this, and what really helps me when I get triggered and I feel that sudden shock where, like, I can't even, like, describe what's happening. Like, I just need to kind of stand still for a while and not, like, I can't. It takes me time to process it, and I can't even talk about it or even know why it's happening until a few minutes later. Um, oh, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Oh, what really helps me is that I've allowed myself to feel the feelings of that trauma. Before I even start to intellectualize about it, I allow myself to feel it, and I allow it to process through my body until my body no longer feels like it's reverberating with the effects of that trauma. And once my body is a little more calm, then I do my, what I call my shamanizing, or my inner wisdom search, and I say, okay, what is the main core reason that I felt so traumatized by this particular thing? You know, and oftentimes I do. I find it's mirroring something that happened in the past, or even in a past life. And once I can and receive my answer around that, once something, the thing about these things that are hanging around in our energy field is that they simply want to be acknowledged. They want to be seen and heard. That makes them feel loved, and once they feel loved, they are free. And so when we can sit with our feelings and sit with our trauma, acknowledge it for what it is, where it came from, what its core was, and just love it. Just love it. What we do then is we love it into neutrality, where it no longer has power over us. And so I do that, and once I do that, and I say thank you, just thank you for teaching me, because Earth is a school and we're all here to learn. It dissipates. My body starts to feel normal again. I can breathe normally again. And that's the message that really wanted to come through tonight. And I really hope that this message will be of service for you. And I'm really excited to announce that in February, I will be opening the Astra School of Empowerment in to all aspects of empowerment, and tips and tools and teachings of how to release anything that has ever been standing in our way of standing firmly in our power and able to feel our joy at the highest level and able to experience our vitality and our energetic health in the most expanded way and able to be our most abundant, wealthy, and prosperous selves. Allowing ourselves to be empowered, allowing ourselves to be free, be who we are, and loving ourselves the whole way through. I will be sharing more about the School of Empowerment soon. Until then, I hope you have enjoyed and gotten something out of this week's empowerment message. I'll be talking to you soon.